How's it going, everybody? Marvel Cross 316 back with another comic book flashback. And today, y'all, we are looking at Daredevil issue number 21. This issue was released in August of 1966, and the cover date is October of 1966. And we are continuing here this storyline with Daredevil, and he is confronting the Owl here. The Owl has sprung his trap, and now we got to see if Daredevil is going to be able to survive this trap. It looks like, it's just all hope is lost for Daredevil, and we also have an erupting volcano to deal with in this issue. So, a lot to unravel here, a lot to discuss. Let's go ahead and get started with today's issue. Like I said, today's title is The Trap is Sprung. We left off with quite a cliffhanger from last issue where Daredevil was trapped by none other than the Owl. A little bit of a clarification as to what is going on if y'all didn't watch last issue's video. Basically, the Owl has kidnapped this judge here. This judge was pretty much the one that sentenced and sent the Owl to jail to get payback on this judge. The Owl kidnapped the judge and required Matt Murdock to stand as a defense for this judge. And the Owl has been using his own rules, making his own judgments, and has sentenced this judge to death. Well, right towards the end of last issue, we saw that Matt Murdock's had just enough time to sneak out of the room and change to Daredevil, and now we're picking up from where we left off in issue number 20 with Daredevil trapped in this cage, and it's an unbreakable cage. These are steel bars here that Daredevil is not able to bend at his will. And before we get started, we got to give credit where credit is due. This issue is brought to you by the spellbinding script Stan Lee, who wrote this issue. We have Gene Colan doing a phenomenal job on the penciling here. We have dynamic delineation by Fearless Frank, Darlin Dick, and Wild Bill. And also the lettering page by Artie Simek and bombastic bird watching Irving Forbush. So let's go ahead now and get started. I pretty much brought y'all up to speed as to what's going on, so let's see if Daredevil is going to be able to escape this trap that has been sprung by the Owl. We see that the Owl is very overconfident starting out right off the bat in this issue, and all of the Owl's henchmen here are basically trying to say, finish him off right away, Owl. You have your chance. But the Owl says, silence, you incompetent imbeciles. None can advise the Owl. I want to savor my moment of triumph. So you call me loudmouth, because Daredevil called him that. He says, now see what this loudmouth can do. Daredevil says, this is it. I feel the cage beginning to shake. And wouldn't you believe it, there is a giant sinkhole right below where Daredevil is standing, and what the Owl plans to do is he's planning to unleash that cage, causing Daredevil to careen below, and he's going to cause that by pushing this button, allowing the bottom of that cage to come loose. Daredevil just so happens to grab a hold of the bars just in time. Talk about blind luck here. Pun intended, by the way. And we see that Daredevil has successfully avoided falling to his death. Well, now the Owl has planned for everything, And so that's like with every good supervillain, they always have a counter plan. And so he flips this switch here, causing the iron bars to release searing pain because the bars are beginning to overheat. And so now Daredevil has no choice. He has to either hold on for dear life, causing himself to have some burns on his fingers, or release his fingers and fall to his death. how much longer can Daredevil hang on? I mean, this is searing pain, but we see that Daredevil, once again, with luck here on his side, he is able to grab a hold of his billy club and, I mean, swings it to safety here. And we see that the owl, in frustration, says, "Blast you, I forgot about that accursed billy club of yours." Daredevil says, "Next time, tie a string around your pudgy little finger." "Bah, one lucky maneuver isn't the whole battle. I'll get you yet. That's for sure. If you expect to lose me, forget it." And so Daredevil swoops on through, and he is going to then take care of the Owl's henchman here. He is doing his very best to save the life of this judge who he came to rescue. Well, we see that then the Owl is going to grab a gun, but we see that Daredevil is going to use his billy club to tie the feet of the Owl, causing Owl to shoot off his gun. Then Daredevil unleashes that billy club, and the Owl begins to swirl like a tornado here, and he careens right into his henchman here. Well, with all the commotion that's going on in this castle, this ancient castle, there's beginning to be a lot of debris shake, and huge chunks of debris are falling from the sky. And there seems to be that because of the battle, it has now begun an eruption for this volcano that's on this island here. So Daredevil and the rest of these guys have much bigger concerns here than having a rivalry between these two guys here. But the Owl, who just has so much hatred towards Daredevil, wants to prove himself, and he wants to prove that he can beat Daredevil, that he is going to try to lure Daredevil into this forbidden chamber, and within this forbidden chamber is something that Daredevil would never comprehend. It's a menace unlike any other. And like I was saying, the volcano is starting to rise. It's starting to, the heat is building here, and Daredevil has precious seconds here as to figure out what to do next. The Owl is waiting very patiently here. He has a menace that he has created of his own being, and that is a giant robot owl. And it's going to be controlled by none other than the Owl. Meanwhile, we see here that this judge is wondering, where the heck did Matt Murdock run off to? And where is Daredevil and the Owl? And Owl's henchman reminds this judge by saying, "Look, he lured Daredevil into this forbidden chamber, and Daredevil is good as dead if he fights this monster." Well, we see Daredevil is finally going to run into the trap of the Owl, and the Owl is going to then push this button, and now this robot owl, is in control by Owl here, and he's going to summon it to attack Daredevil. Daredevil is going to quickly have to use his radar sense here so that he will not be attacked by this owl. And so Daredevil has to get the owl away from those controls here. So what he's going to do is he's going to throw his billy club, and he strikes the hand of the owl here. And then he's going to throw it one more time and destroys the controls. And now this giant robot owl is out of control. Meanwhile, the volcano in the background is beginning to erupt. Daredevil needs to get to safety. He needs to find the judge so that the judge won't die on this island, as the island is going to be covered in lava soon. Well, now the owl, this robot owl, has gone into the air, and Daredevil and the owl are going to go into another great fight scene drawn by Gene Colan here. Some awesome artwork, by the way, by the great Gene Colan. And we see that Daredevil is going to block the blow here, causing the owl to fall off this giant robot. But the owl has the ability to fly, so the owl will fly away from this island, flying to safety. But the Daredevil here has to learn to control this robot and glide it so that he can find this judge and pick him up so that this judge won't die. Well, we see here that Daredevil, with once again luck on his side, is able to hear the heartbeat of the judge. He glides the robot owl, picks up the judge, and now they are good as gold here as they're escaping certain destruction. We see that the judge is going to ask, "What about Matt Murdock? We can't leave him behind." Well, Daredevil comes up with an excuse by saying, "No need to worry about Murdock. I put him safely aboard a motor launch and he's headed for shore now. You stay here and hold on for dear life, Judge. If we're lucky, I'll be able to guide this nightmarish contraption to the mainland." And so that is where we leave off in this issue. We see that Daredevil once again was able to evade the trap of the owl. He was able to defeat the owl, and we have much more to look forward to in issue number 22, as we see here that this seems like as good a place as any to bid a fond farewell to Dee Dee. But let us be ever mindful that next issue Daredevil will face super villains galore. I promise you that. We're going to be looking at issue number 22 and the next one here as we continue looking at the chronological series of Daredevil here in the history of Daredevil. I hope to see you there in the next video. But before then, go ahead now and drop a like on this video. Comment down below. I'd love to see your comments. And I will see y'all in the next one.